How has this 2024 Toyota Tacoma held up after 1 year and about 15,000 miles? I'll tell you what I like about it, what I don't like, as well as discuss any problems that have popped up. Obviously, this isn't a 20-year, 300,000 mile review, because the truck hasn't even been around that long. But it is long-term in the sense that, unlike most reviews you see online, this one isn't just someone walking around a brand new truck on a dealer lot or doing a quick test drive. In most cases, those reviews are based on a relationship the reviewer has with the dealer, or in some cases, press vehicles loaned out for a few days, and there's usually a bit of pressure to keep things positive. That's not the case here. I don't have any ties to Toyota beyond the fact that I own one, so what you're getting is my honest take. I've also spent plenty of time behind the wheel of earlier Tacomas, so I'm pretty familiar with the platform, its strengths, its flaws, and any reliability problems they've had. This is the limited model, so it's the most luxurious trim. It comes with Softex interior, which is another word for vinyl, but it makes sense for a Tacoma, since most people want the rugged upholstery, whereas real leather is softer and more delicate. As equipped, this truck stickers for around $58,000, which includes the iForce Max powertrain and 4-wheel drive. The regular iForce engine stickers at about $54,000 in this configuration. My favorite feature is the 14-inch screen, which is especially useful with the panoramic view monitor, so you can see all around the truck when parking. The Limited also comes with heated and ventilated front seats, moonroof, and a heated steering wheel, so you're getting a lot of options with this trim level. Toyota doesn't offer a platinum trim like they do with the Tundra and new 4Runner, but the Limited has more than enough features for most people. One of the most common complaints about the old Tacoma was that it felt sluggish, and that's not the case at all with this truck. This 2.4-liter 4-cylinder turbo engine puts out 278 horsepower and 317 pound-feet of torque. Compare that to the previous generation, which had the same 278 horsepower but only 265 pound-feet of torque, about a 14% difference. With the hybrid powertrain that this truck has, you get 326 horsepower and 465 pound-feet of torque. What's really impressive is when the engine reaches maximum torque at just 1700 RPM, which is very noticeable when driving. It has plenty of low-end power for driving in traffic and pulling trailers, and it has no problem keeping a trailer moving at highway speeds. It's not sluggish at all. It's also surprisingly quiet and smooth, which doesn't typically accompany a 4-cylinder engine. Usually they're raspy, rough, and noisy. The transmission also makes a big difference when it comes to drivability, with 8 speeds instead of the 6 that the old one had. It's built by Aisin, which makes excellent transmissions that are smooth and last an extremely long time. Some people have had issues with it, but Toyota has addressed them and they seem to be fading. This one has been perfect. It shifts smoothly every time, with no weird clunks, bangs, or weird shifts. Overall, it's very smooth and responsive, and it really complements the truck. Aside from the fact that it's not a V6, Toyota did a really nice job with the powertrain. With the amount of torque this truck has, you'd think it'd be really fast 0 to 60, but full throttle acceleration is actually kind of underwhelming. That's just how the engine was tuned. Excellent low-end power for everyday driving characteristics, but consequently, full throttle acceleration isn't amazing, doing 0 to 60 in about 7 seconds. A lot of people don't like the turbo 4-cylinder engines because they don't think they're going to last as long as a V6, and I completely get that. But if you don't keep your vehicles for a long time and are able to look past the potential decreased lifespan, it is a great engine. The ride is also comfortable, and it feels like you're driving a car, which is a big advantage of a smaller truck. Handling is effortless, and the brakes are responsive. Toyota really did take any complaint they had about the old Tacoma seriously, and they made sure people weren't going to say the same thing about this one. The interior of this truck is modern and it looks good. The materials aren't high-end, with a lot of hard plastic, but it's going to hold up well, and that's kind of what people want in a Tacoma. The materials seem solid, and the panels seem well put together. The grab handles are solid, and the overall interior quality is good. The front seats are so much more comfortable than before, with plenty of thigh support and a much better driving position. The front is very spacious, with plenty of headroom, shoulder room, and knee room. The seats have plenty of adjustments, so the bottoms don't feel flat, and it doesn't feel like you're sitting on the floor. The seats, driving position, and the view out the front feel very similar to the Tundra now. The interior looks great and has everything you need. The Softex is held up extremely well and shows basically no signs of wear. This material tends to last a long time and always looks the same, as it doesn't wear out the same way leather does. Just wipe it down with a damp cloth and a mild soap like the manual recommends, and it will last a very long time. The rear seat is definitely on the tight side, which isn't surprising for a Tacoma. Just to give you some perspective, it actually has about an inch less legroom than a Corolla. It feels like Toyota used all the space and comfort in the front, which makes sense. Whether the tight back seat is a deal breaker really depends on how you plan to use it. If it's mostly for dogs or small kids, it works just fine. But if you're regularly driving with adults or planning longer trips with passengers back there, it's something you want to think twice about. Regardless, the front seats are very spacious and comfortable, so Toyota definitely focused their efforts there, and it shows. I do really like the styling of this truck. It looks very similar to the Tundra, except without the huge grille, which is a good thing. It would look a lot better without this front air dam because it hangs really low and looks pretty out of place. Plus, if you plan on taking it off-road or driving it in the snow, it's really going to get in the way. The paint looks great without much orange peel, and the panel gaps are all even. The trim pieces seem solid and well secured, and it seems to be well put together. The towing capacity in the new Tacoma is actually less than the old Tacoma at a maximum of 6,500 pounds, with the iForce Max towing 6,000 pounds. You'd think that the iForce Max would tow more, but it's quite a bit heavier due to the added electric motor and the batteries under the seat. The truck has plenty of power to pull that much weight, but honestly, if you're regularly pulling over 5,000 pounds, you're probably going to be looking at something bigger anyway. The iForce Max really doesn't make a big difference when you're towing. The electric boost helps for a couple of seconds off the line, but once you're moving, you're relying almost entirely on the engine and the turbo boost. So that extra weight is kind of a negative when it comes to climbing hills and driving on the highway. The EPA rates this truck at 20 miles per gallon in the city, 23 on the highway, and 21 combined. In my experience, I usually get around 20 miles per gallon driving around town, even with a lot of stop and go traffic, and a bit of a heavy foot. On longer highway trips, if I keep it around 70, I can hit about 24 miles per gallon. That's pretty much in line with what the non-hybrid version gets, so it's not a huge difference there. Unfortunately, the gas tank is a little on the small side. It only holds about 18 gallons, which translates to around 300 miles per tank. It's a little too small in my opinion, and if you're doing any towing, you'll burn through a tank really quickly. But again, if you're towing long distances, you're probably going to want to get something bigger anyway. The only real issues I've run into this truck have been with the electronics. The rear seatbelt alarm constantly goes off, thinking someone's sitting back there without a seatbelt on, but there's no one in the seat. The middle seat is the main culprit. It beeps like someone's there even when it's empty. It might be because the rear seats are kind of narrow, so if someone's sitting in the left or right side, they're also putting some weight onto the middle seat. I usually just buckle that seatbelt to get it to stop. It's a nice safety feature overall, especially for keeping an eye on whether kids are buckled up, but it's not very helpful when it's always giving false alerts and beeping for no reason. Another thing that kept happening was an alert on the gauge cluster that said trailer detected, trailer driving assist active, every time I started the truck. There was no trailer and nothing plugged in, so I have no idea why it was doing that, but it got annoying really fast. Honestly, it didn't really surprise me. The new Tundra seems to have a few of those odd electronic quirks too. This one's actually a pretty common issue. There's a TSB that resets the blind spot sensors, and after that was done, the problem hasn't come back. Other than these small issues, there's nothing I don't like about this truck. It's completely understandable to be nervous about a 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. Anything turbocharged typically doesn't last as long as something naturally aspirated. But Toyota is all in with this engine in the 4Runner, Highlander, as well as Lexus products, so they have to get it right when it comes to reliability. Even though Toyota says you can go 10,000 miles between oil changes, I personally wouldn't go more than 5,000 miles, especially if you're doing any towing, stop-and-go driving, or short trips. For a first model year, I consider this truck to be pretty much problem-free. Others have had various issues with theirs, but the problems aren't widespread. There were some reports of transmission problems, but Toyota seems to have addressed them. I really do like this truck a lot. Everything seems to be improved from the previous generation, future reliability aside. It drives extremely well, comfort complaints were all resolved, it has plenty of power, and it looks great. Yeah, it does have a 4-cylinder, but it drives extremely well. I'd highly recommend it if you don't need the capability and space of a full-size truck.